Hey, welcome to Romance Happy Hour. I'm Dylann Crush, and I'm here with my co-hostess, Dawn Luedecke, and our guest tonight, Elle Greco. So, welcome everybody. We're happy to be coming to you from the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. I know Dawn is already celebrating the holiday weekend in style. You might recognize the background from
the first 2 years.
The first 2 years of Romance Happy Hour. Where are you, Dawn? Tell us.
We're at Newport News State Park, and well, maybe I shouldn't have said that live. What if there's like a stalker on here? If any of you are stalkers in Virginia, you can come chill and have some beer. But anyways, yeah, Newport News State Park.
So there's the beach there.
No, not here. Well, it's about an hour away. Well, I mean, you can go to Yorktown and go to the beach, but
the Newport News is on the ocean. It's an hour away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's well, where we are, because you got to go cross through those little tunnels that everybody freaks out about on Facebook, and into the beach and stuff. You can go to Yorktown. Yorktown's close, but it's a river. It's the James River.
Okay.
But yeah, we're chilling. We had a birthday party today because we had a birthday on Sunday and a birthday today. So we're celebrating the birthdays and the Memorial Days and all kinds of stuff this weekend. So
lots going on.
Cool. Yeah.
And I'm up at the cabin.
I was going to say.
By myself. This is a super, super fun treat right before my family descends. I drove up here this afternoon with the dogs. That was the trade-off. I had to bring both beasts with me. But yeah, my husband and the children will be coming up tomorrow.
So are you there on vacation alone, or are you there for writing purposes alone?
I have a project due tomorrow, and I can't go to bed. That's why I'm drinking bubbly, cherry bubbly tonight, because I cannot go to bed tonight until it's done. So, but I'm close. I mean, it should have been done yesterday, and I didn't get it finished, so it will be done tonight.
Okay.
No, so kind of both.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of both.
I'm drinking wine.
As per the usual, Dawn.
It's camping.
We have Linda and Teresa joining us. Hi, good to see you guys. And Dawn, what are you working on? You've got some stuff coming up. Tell us a little bit.
I have a release on June 8th, Lipstick and Lassos, and it's book 3 of the Lone Tree Ranch series, and I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeehaw!
My hero and heroine may have rolled in a little bit of poison ivy while they were making out, so that was fun. And but yeah, so I got that release coming out. I am writing the next Lexa Jade book, and then I'm going to work on Cowboys and Christmas Trees this next month. I have to get both of those done this month, because then we're going to be moving and like all kinds of crap. So I have to get those 2 done as soon as possible.
You know, life just gets in the way of our writing.
I know, right?
I know. It's the end of the school year here, and everything's kind of coming to a head, and we have sports that have picked back up again. And yeah, it's like everything's kind of getting in the way of my writing plans.
Yeah.
So.
And what about you, Dylann, besides your release?
Yeah, I had a release on Tuesday, Crazy About a Cowboy. So excited about that. Although my kiddos went to visit my book at Walmart the other day on Tuesday, and it wasn't there. And so I had to stop by and pick some stuff up to bring up to the cabin. And I double checked, and it's still not there. So,
oh, no.
So I don't know if anyone sees it in the wild, let me know, because I'm not sure that it's actually out there. I mean, I'm sure it's out there in some places, but yeah, and I haven't been to very many. So, I mean, I only went to the one by our house. So
mail is going super slow lately. So hopefully
that is true. That is true. So yeah, so I'm sure it's out there. It's just, and I don't know, some of the different stores, I think it depends on who stocks them. And so, so yeah, depending on their schedule and stuff, because there have been a couple times where I've been to, the local stores, and I mean, the book section looks pretty lonely and pretty empty. So So we'll see. I'm hopeful that they will find their way to a shelf near me and you soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elle, welcome.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit. We've got one guest tonight. I'm super excited to have you joining us. Yes, you get to be. You get all of our attention. So I'm not sure if it's a good thing or not. You'll have to let us know.
I will. I'm sure it's going to be great. We have so much to talk about.
We do. Yes. Tell me a little bit. Well, tell everybody a little bit about what you write and how you got into writing, and just give us a little bit of your background and your details.
Well, I am currently writing contemporary romance. I have my LA rock star series, so I'm writing about rock stars, which I love. I started writing since I was a kid. I actually went to college for playwriting, and then got out and started working professionally in New York, and realized that the theater critics scared the shit out of me, and so the bleep out of me. Sorry.
That's okay. We warned Elle that we are on a page, so to try to keep the profanity to a bare minimum. So if she bleeps, you'll know that it's all our fault. If she's
salty too, so I'm sorry. This is going to be a hard one for me. So I left that behind for like 20 years, and then one day I was like, why aren't you writing? This is crazy. And so I sat down, I wrote my first series. It was actually urban fantasy, not romance. And then I transitioned over the years to writing romance, and now with my rock stars.
Great. Oh, sorry. That looked like you were going to say something.
No, yeah. Well, I was just trying to decide if I should, because some people don't like to divulge this information. But are you from LA?
No,
oh, okay.
I'm not. I spent a lot of time there for work over the course of several years.
Okay.
So there was 1 year, I think every other month I was flying out. So yeah, I lived in New York for 20 odd years. So, but there was a lot of travel back and forth, but I haven't been back in like 15 years. I think I'm going to go this summer though.
Fun.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I've never been there.
I love LA. I love it. I absolutely love it.
LA, Dawn?
No.
You've been everywhere.
Except for California.
You haven't been to California at all?
Well, I've been to like Northern California when I was a kid.
Okay.
And my husband's been to San Francisco, but other than that, like I haven't been to California. That's like one of the states that I haven't really visited all that much. So
that's crazy, because being in the Coast Guard, that's like this. Is that the state? I mean, I don't know. Does Texas or California have more coastline? I'm not, or maybe Alaska. I don't know. I'm bad at geography, but like that's a state with a lot of
it is. But we tried really hard to avoid California.
Okay.
So we're like Westerners, but Northwesterners, and so yeah.
It's a fun place to visit. My parents lived there for a while. My brother still lives out there, but
I definitely
handle, like the 15 lanes of traffic that are all at a standstill, and
lots of people give me anxiety. So, I'm a Western. I'm a country girl.
Wide open spaces.
Yes.
There are parts of LA that are just gorgeous. I mean, if you go out to the beaches and you're going to Santa Monica, Venice Beach, like it's just fun and it's really beautiful. And I just love the vibe out there. I really love California and I really love LA, but I never lived there.
Yeah.
My husband and I got engaged in Carmel.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
17-mile drive. Yep.
That is gorgeous.
I see that story sometime. That was really stinky. There was a big clump of gross seaweed, and I kept saying, like, maybe we could go sit over there. And he's like, no, we need to stay here.
That's funny. So, I definitely want to hear the story now, though. Like, for sure.
Not exciting, but yeah, we'll have to talk about that sometime. It was fun.
For sure.
So, go ahead and leave questions in the comments if you have them. We are going to hear Elle read from, which book are you reading from tonight?
I'm going to read from Love Song. And this is, I'm so bad at figuring out where my camera is.
You know what? It's all backwards. I know when you hold it to the right, it actually goes.
Yeah,
it's tricky,
this
especially
way.
if you are drinking wine. But there, that's perfect.
Okay. So this is the second book, and I had a really hard time picking what I wanted to read. I was like, I don't know which one I want to read, because I was like, oh, read from the first one, because that's the one that everybody does. Yeah, that sort of kicks off the series. But it's kind of like picking your favorite kid. But I think the second one is my favorite one.
Yep. Oh, Teresa says gorgeous cover. You want to hold it?
Oh, thank you. It's my favorite cover too. Very
nice.
Yes, it's my favorite cover. So, I mean, this cover changed. This is the Heartbreak Beat. This is the first one. And I changed it because of the man chest. So I'll just take that down because Facebook is, because, that is the sort of censoring from, I was having problems with advertising with Amazon and Facebook because there was just too much man chest.
Yeah. It's a really nice man chest.
It is. It is.
I hate that they have a problem with man chest. I mean, what's wrong with it?
I know.
You so go now to the beach.
Now I make sure that they're all covered. Like I have, like, I'm just like, I can't use, I'm like, nope, man chest won't use it. Nope.
Yep. Well, and some of the couples too, because some of my Lovebird Cafe series is all couples, and the first two books and the novella are totally fine, but Amazon won't let me run ads to the third one. So
what are they in a clinch?
Kind of. I mean, it's
okay.
Yeah, you can just see his bare back. It's not man chest. It's man back. Man back.
They don't even like that.
man back. But it is a fairly somewhat, I mean, there's he's standing, it's a not necessarily a compromising position, but it's a insinuating potentially position, I think. So
yeah,
it gets really tricky to find, because if I think readers too expect, if your book has heat, then they expect that to come through on the cover, because you don't necessarily want all of your covers. If you've got a steamy book, you don't want all of your covers to give the impression that it's a sweet romance, because then the sweet readers will be upset when they dig in and realize what's going on, and your steamy readers won't necessarily pick it up because it doesn't, kind of convey what they think. And so, I think it's tricky to find that right balance. Do you make your own covers, or do you have a designer that you work with?
I have a designer that I work with. Oh God, I can't. I can stick with writing. But I don't know. Do you use stock photography on your covers, or do you do photo shoots?
I use stock photography right now. I would love to get to the point where I can do photo shoots, but right now that is out of my range.
Right, me too. And and it's frustrating because my book 4, which I don't have a paperback yet of, I noticed that another author had used the same model on her cover. It came up in an ad, and I was like, oh, and, and it happens. Like we're all pulling from the same pool of photos.
Right. And with, COVID and everything, I mean, there weren't a lot of new, stock photography options being added because people weren't out and about and posing for pictures and stuff. And so I feel like there hasn't been a whole lot of new options. I bet I have seen, I don't know how many times I've seen, some of the couples that I've had on some of my covers on ads and other covers and things. And I think there are ways to make it not as obvious if you, kind of like flip them so that they're facing a different direction, or you can change hair color, you can change, some of the skin tone, or if you've got a designer that is super adept at Photoshop and can, like switch heads and hairstyles and things like that. I mean, then you end up potentially paying as much as if you'd had a custom photo done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it gets challenging. And I don't know, for some of the viewers that are watching, you know, how do you feel about covers? Do you recognize a lot of the same pictures? I know a lot of the same models are on, you know, a lot of covers, but sometimes that's a good thing, because I think that some of our readers have some favorite models that they actually really enjoy seeing. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear their thoughts too, to see how important it is for them, you know, with regards to the covers.
We do have one question in regards to the covers. You said, I'm assuming Elle, that you the second book was your favorite. Why?
Oh, the cover wise or
Yeah,
story
cover-wise.
wise? Cover wise. You know, it's really funny. I did not think that this was going to be my favorite cover, because I was actually a little bit worried about this one because it doesn't scream sexy. But I just love the pose, and it just is so rock and roll to me, and so like the performance and musician, and you know, and I think the yellow that my cover designer used like just works really, really well, and I just really love the vibe of the whole thing. So it turned out to be my favorite cover. And it's kind of mysterious. He's got his head down and the hat and all that. So yeah. And I'm eyeing another one with a model head down, hat blocking for the next book. I don't know. I'm just like a sucker for these pictures.
You have a style. Yeah, a couple of our viewers are saying there are a lot of covers that are similar.
Yeah.
Linda gets a sexy vibe from that cover though. So
Good.
Yeah, I think he does give off a little bit of a sexy vibe. He looks mysterious and it makes you curious. And I think, you know, for me, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, like graphic or super sexy or something, but there's got to be something that kind of pulls you in and makes you curious. And so I think, you know, that posture, that pose and everything, I think definitely does that. So.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Well, thank you. I'm glad other people think it's sexy, because I love the cover, but I was always worried like, oh, it's not going to sell, but I don't care. I love the cover.
Oh, she also meant, why was the second one your favorite story? Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's because the characters are so awesome. So this is about So the series starts with a group of sisters. There are 3 sisters, and they're in a band called Satan's Sisters. And the first one is Nikki's story. She's the youngest. She's a drummer. She's a spitfire. She's a complete hellion, very feisty, knows what she wants, goes for it, a little bit mouthy, very fun. The older sister, Presley, she's in the 3rd book, which is Songbird. And she is kind of a diva. She's the lead singer. She's big on social media and Instagram. She's trying to get endorsement deals and makeup deals and stuff like that. Like, she is business. And then you have the middle sister, that's Jet, and that's Love Song. That's her story. She's the guitar player, but what she really wants to do is write poetry. So she is the songwriter, and she is sort of always being dragged along for the ride. So her sisters want to go on tour. Her sisters want this, you know, they want the band to take off. They want they want stardom. They want to work in the music industry. And she's like, I just want to go to UCLA and get my degree in poetry and maybe go teach at a college somewhere. And my sisters aren't letting me. And so she's now, they're back from tour. She's back at UCLA, and then her whole life implodes. And her stepbrother, Rafe, sort of adopted stepbrother, is there to pick up the pieces. They went on tour together with their stepbrother's band. Nikki joined their stepbrother's band as the drummer after a very big argument. And they all went out on tour together in the first book. And so this is now, after the tour is over, Nikki and Dion are our first couple. They got their happily ever after. And now, Jet's going through some stuff, and Rafe is there to help her. And he's awesome. He is really awesome. I'm like absolutely in love with him. He's just great.
Which is when you kind of fall a little bit in love with all of your characters, all the heroes. I mean, you have to, I think, otherwise, how can you expect a reader or your characters to fall in love with them, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But there's something so special about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is so sweet, and you almost don't expect him to be that, that sweet and supportive and, I got your back. We're good. I totally don't expect that. And yet there he is, just really sort of there for her and helping her and pushing her and believing in her when she doesn't believe in herself.
So this is a stepbrother.
This is stepbrother.
Okay.
Yes. This is stepbrother. So if you don't like that, got a little ding on that for a review.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's incest. I was like, no, it's not. And in the description, it says stepbrother. So yes, a little taboo going on.
Well, let's hear what you have for us.
Okay.
And then as you're reading, if people have questions, pop them in the comments and we will come back to those. I'm going to put you up here by yourself and we'll be back when you're done.
Okay. Okay, I'm a little nervous here, so. All right. Yo, what's up, Jet? My stepbrother, Rafe, clapped my shoulder, yanking me out of The Pleasures of the Damned, a collection of Charles Bukowski poems. The staccato styling of the self-proclaimed dirty old man agreed with my current temperament. I glared at him from above my glasses. Rafe, at 6'3", hovered over the booth. A funky purple knit beret covered his trademark short dreads. His clothes, a pair of faded jeans, a top-colored T-shirt with a narrow linen scarf looped around his neck, and a vintage brown leather jacket, hung a little loose on his lean frame. But that was all by design. Rock and roll meets reggae by way of the overpriced vintage shops on Melrose. He grinned, impervious to my glare. The gap between his two front teeth marred an otherwise perfect face and made him even better looking. I scowled harder. Immune to my nasty looks, Rafe chucked his leather messenger bag into the booth and slid in opposite of me. Once settled, he grabbed a sugar packet from its holder, ripped it open, and dumped the contents on his tongue. I would love to say that I did not think about sex while his tongue tasted that sugar, that I did not imagine that same tongue tasting my sweet spots. But since I was stone cold exhausted, I was weak. My imagination ran wild. I crossed my legs tight. That is disgusting. You look like shit, he said, spraying. Oops, sorry. You look like bleep, he said, spraying a light coating of sugar crystals at me when he spoke. Even though you have that hot for teacher thing going on with your glasses. I removed my glasses and placed them on the table. He peeled open another sugar packet. Beep off, Rafe. I'm not in the mood. He tilted his head and the expression on his handsome face shifted, softened. He put the sugar down. Talk to me, babe. What happened? You flunk a midterm or something? Rather than answer him, I took a final swallow from the dregs of my coffee cup. He knew me too well. School was my solace, a space to be Jet Benson, not Presley's little sister, or the older sister who nagged little Nikki, or the caretaker of our self-destructive groupie mom. No one in my family, extended or otherwise, was college-bound except for me. I liked my college life. There were zero reminders of my rock god stepfather and his brood of rock and roll heirs. Why are you here, Rafe? Was on my way back from talking to Randall's Music 101 class and saw your car, he said. Thought I'd swing by, say hello. Randall was a retired Grimm Records A&R guy who spent his twilight years teaching classes at UCLA's music business program. What wisdom could you possibly impart on poor Randall's impressionable students, I asked. Celebrity rather than talent had always dazzled Randall. It irked me that he was passing that quality, which led to mediocrity, onto the next generation of executives. More flash and flesh, less substance. Not that Rafe wasn't talented, he was in spades, but he was also kind of famous, not to mention rock star gorgeous. Rafe was the total package. He also knew it. My wisdom is vast, Beanpole said. It may even help your stubborn ass beep. So tell me what's up. I glared at him. Stop calling me that. He grinned. I refused to look at his sexy gap tooth and instead waved my hand at the waitress who continued to ignore me. I dropped my arm and flopped back against the vinyl seat when she passed by yet again, without so much as a glance in my direction. I pushed the empty sugar packets into some spilled coffee. I didn't get any sleep last night. Nikki and Dion, like rabbits, huh? Rafe said, his tone sympathetic. I nodded. I dealt with that beep for a weekend while I had my crib painted. I moved back to my place a day early. I'd rather sleep in toxic fumes than listen to that noise. Rafe slammed his palms on the table and raised his voice up about 3 octaves. Oh, Dion, touch me there, harder, deeper. I swallowed a chuckle. His head swiveled in our direction, shrinking even lower in my seat and releasing my hair from the clip that contained it. Unruly red kinks spilled out, hiding my face, which had gone as crimson as my curls. Unfortunately, it's the only place I have to crash, I muttered, eyes not moving from the faux wood grain and the laminate table. You could always ask to join in, he said, flashing a devilish smile. That could be fun. Ew, gross, I said, going into a full body shudder. That's gross. That's so gross. And now I can't unthink it. Thanks a lot. Rafe collapsed into a fit of laughter. His mischievous look took 10 years off of him, reminding me of the prankster teen who tormented me with slugs plucked from the garden, tossing them onto my school books while I was trying to do homework. Boys sucked. It's not funny, Rafe, I said once he regained some control over his laughter. His mouth twitched up, but he kept himself in check. I can't stay here. I can't go back to your dad's mansion since Mom... Oh, gotta turn the page here. Sorry. Since Mom has it locked up in the divorce proceedings. What do I do? Pitch a tent next to the La Brea tar pits? See if you can get into the dorms, he said, like it was that simple. Maybe they're not all filled up. My left eye twitched. No, the dorms are not an option. That's bull beep, he said. They got to have room. Someone has to be blowing off this semester. Can you call someone? A slight headache bloomed behind the twitching eye. It's not an option, I repeated. Did you even ask, or are you just making a stupid bleep assumption? I'm not stupid, Rafe, I snapped back. The dorms are not an option. He angled his body up, reached into his front pocket, pulled out his phone, and began swiping. We'll see about that. I reached out and grabbed the phone out of his hands. No, really, just stop. His hand shot across the table, and I thought he was going to take the phone. Instead, he wrapped his hand around mine. My heart slammed against my chest cavity when he leveled a look at me. It wasn't anger. It was confusion. It was concern. It was stunning. I closed my eyes, etching that beautiful face into my soul. What the bleep, Beanpole? What's going on? My eyes snapped open at Rafe's words, and I came back to reality. I yanked my hand away from his. Vince didn't pay this semester's tuition. His sexy mouth angled into a frown. What? My own eyes burned, and it was only through sheer force of will that I didn't burst into tears. Vince, he didn't pay this semester's tuition. I'm out, Rafe. Kicked out. Not only did I lose my home, but I lost the one thing I wanted more than anything in the world, a college education. Dad skipped out on the bill? Damn, Rafe said. He reached across the table and grabbed my hand again, this time giving it a squeeze. I ignored the electric jolt that passed between us. Did you ask him what happened? His assistant fobbed me off on George, I said, pulling my hand away once again. I used it to push my empty cup through some spilled sugar crystals. Rafe gave a low whistle. She just passed you off to his business manager? That's cold. I nodded miserably. What'd George say? What do you think? I snapped. He said that because of the contentious split, Pamela was tying up the money and Vince was having a cash flow problem. Rafe lifted his hands in a no big deal gesture. And there you have it. Ask him to throw it on the Amex. Deal with it later. I stared at Rafe's hands. They were powerful hands with long and dexterous fingers. Those hands made him one of the top 10 guitarists in rock right now. They had to be good for playing more than just strings. I blinked myself back to the real world, my real world, which didn't include those dexterous hands on my body or a place to live. My head was seeking distractions anywhere I could find them. If there was ever a time I needed to focus, it was now. Then George said that the lawyers thought it best that Vince remove any financial support for me and my sisters since we aren't his kids. Anything would look untoward, and my fingers curled into my palms. Mom is gossiping. Rafe raised an eyebrow. Pamela's gossiping about what? I slumped deeper into the booth. I didn't want to talk about this. Definitely not this. It doesn't matter. Come on, Jet, spill, he said. Better I hear it from you than from some reporter, don't you think? I swallowed. He was right. I could share, but maybe not everything. I leaned forward and whispered that Vince is nailing one of us. Nailing? He made a circle with one hand and moved his index finger from the other hand into the hole, a crude sign language for sex. As in... I slapped his hands down before someone noticed. It was a nasty, vicious rumor, and my mother was a nasty, vicious woman. But I never imagined she would take her Vince vengeance out on us. As far as stepdads went, he wasn't awful, never tried to be our father, but acted as a mentor to Presley, and even tried to mentor Nikki. Being Nick, she wasn't having it. He'd encouraged me to go to college and was footing the bill, until now. Damn, when Pamela holds a grudge, he said after a low whistle, and you're not even the one sleeping with Dad. She should have just kicked out Presley. I leveled him with a killer look. Why do you assume it was Presley? His eyebrows shot up and he directed a, you must be joking, look at me. It's not Nick, and it's definitely not you. My back straightened at that. Not that I wanted to have an affair with my stepfather, but the implication was that I was not attractive enough. That wasn't wrong, but it was rude. Presley is not sleeping with Vince, I hissed. I worked to force that visual out of my mind. For a guy well into middle age, Vince had retained his sex appeal, but still, ew. Then it is you, he asked, his eyebrows shooting back up. Oh my God, no. Jesus. He spread his hands out. Voila, Presley. You done Sherlock Holmesing, I snapped. He gave me his sexy Rafe grin, and I shoved the feeling that it was just for me deep, deep down, because as much as I wanted that to be true, I needed to stay grounded in reality. Mom's just mental. Everyone knows that. Mental's not the word for her, he muttered, his eyes moving over my shoulder. When Rafe's lips thinned and his face went tight, I twisted in the booth to look behind me. I didn't see much, students studying with coffees in front of them, a group of tourists digging into avocado toast. My eyes flicked up, and that's when I saw it. Behind the counter was a TV, and on that TV was the E! channel, and on the E! channel was Reese Allen, the one who got away. From Rafe, I mean. End scene.
Woohoo!
Sorry, I did my best to beep.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
No, that was fine. I was just saying, woohoo! The one that got away from Ray.
Yeah.
What a place to leave us. That was really funny, just seeing your expression as you were reading, and the interaction between the two of them. I thought it sounded. I mean, it did sound very, familiar as siblings, but also, just kind of like that guy that is kind of always been the friend that, you kind of poke at each other. And
yeah, that's their relationship through the whole book. They were really fun to write because there was the constant poking that kept going on. And that was just such a blast to write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it definitely came through in the dialogue. No, that was really enjoyable.
Thank you.
And references to some of the places out there. How did you do that? I mean, you said, I guess you've been out there several times, but I think
changed.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause my cousins have lived out in the LA area. I mean, since I was a kid, we used to go out there, every summer, and then with my parents being there and my brother living there, I've been out there several times, but somebody that doesn't live out there, I think that's always the danger when you are writing in a setting that is so well known, like, LA or New York or, Chicago. I mean, somewhere, anywhere that, there are a lot of people who live there, and, they know, if you say there's Starbucks on the corner of, Melrose and Vine or whatever, and there's not, then somebody's going to know.
This particular diner, I believe I made it up. I think I just sort of checked to see what was around UCLA and was there a diner close by? And of course there was.
Yep.
A lot of it is kind of memory, but also then I will go back and double check that still exists. If it doesn't exist, I have to make something up. In book 3 in Songbird, there was a hotel in West Hollywood on Cynthia Street that I used to stay at all the time called Le Rev. I loved Le Rêve. It was just this great home away from home. It was a little boutique hotel. They were always so nice. There was underground parking underneath the building, and they never charged for it, or it was like super cheap, which in LA is a very big deal. It's always about the parking in LA. And I just love staying there. So I was like, oh, and I needed a hotel, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do Le Rêve. Well, wouldn't you know it, they sold it. It's now called Petit Hermitage, and it's a totally different vibe from what Le Rêve was. But I was able to actually work the new vibe in. But it's a lot of like internet and Google Earth and just checking to make sure what's still there. The fourth book, I had a scene by the La Brea tar pits. Years ago, I had stayed in that area. I had crashed on somebody's floor, as one does in their 20s. And they lived, and it was like this very sort of like middle class apartments and working class apartments. And that whole area had really changed over. There was like, there were like, I think it used to be a Bob's Big Boy ripped down, and now it's like a Mercedes dealership or something like, and I was like on Google Earth going, my God, this has changed so much. So it's a lot of like Google Earth and Yelp, and also just checking in with friends that still live there, or friends that lived there full time. 20 years ago, I have a friend that who lives in New York now, but I actually messaged him, and I was like, am I remembering that area correctly? That it was kind of working class, or was it, and so just to try and, figure out, get my bearings.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple questions. What was one of your hardest scenes to write, and why?
Oh, Dylan knows the sex scenes. It's always the steamy scenes for me. That's why I have a podcast about it. I think for me, I do struggle a bit with writing intimate moments between the characters. I started writing novels with urban fantasy, and I can breeze through a fight scene. Like I can get 5,000 words done in 2 hours if it's a fight scene, because it just goes. But then when I get to those intimate scenes, it just slows me down. And I struggle with the words, and I struggle a bit with the emotions. I struggle, I think, a lot with the emotions and how to convey those emotions in written form, because I think, I know a lot of writers, as they write, they say it plays out like a movie, and it does for me too. And sometimes I actually already have actors cast in these roles, and so it's kind of Rafe is totally Lenny Kravitz, in case you couldn't tell. So that was fun to spend time with Lenny. But so for me, it's sort of, how do I translate the expressions, the feelings, the way a body moves, and I'm not sort of talking about insert, here, that sort of choreography, but more about the sensuality of the body and getting that right. The sensuality of the movements, the scent, the touch, the feel, the light, what things look like, heat levels, how hot is your skin, stuff like that. And then also conveying, and then putting the emotion into that as well. That always slows me down and gets really complicated for me.
Yeah. Do you want to do more, Dylan, or do you want to read?
Either way.
Why don't you read, just so we can hear your story, and then I'll ask the questions.
I know, it's so funny because people come on here and they're always like, I'm so nervous to read. It's like, it's fine, it's no big deal. And then you and I, we like don't read very often, and so it's like, I'm kind of nervous too. So all right, we'll get that over with, and then we come back and chat. And I, because I'm up at the cabin, totally forgot to bring my own book. But I did pull up the cover on my iPad so I can show you. if you haven't seen it yet. Oh, and of course, it all disappeared. But and now it's my turn to try to center it. So I'm going to read from
Oh, I like the cover.
the new book, Crazy About a Cowboy. It just came out on Tuesday. And the scene I'm going to read is starting in chapter 3. So I'll go ahead and remove you guys so you don't have to sit here and and watch me painfully do this. All right. So I'm going to read from chapter 3. And the whole story follows. Jasper Taylor is a commercial pecan farmer. His whole family, it's a family-owned operation. And a tornado has wiped out part of their orchard. And so he is being strong-armed into taking on the role of hospitality host in Idu, Texas, by the mayor, Lacey, who was the heroine of book 1 in the series. And so he is trying to do what he can to help get Idu voted the most romantic small town in Texas. And so this is when Delilah Stone is the beauty queen. She's the current reigning Miss Love in Texas, and she is coming in to Idu for the first time. She's got to spend 30 days there to evaluate their chances to win the title. So, and she's already been to the 2 other towns. And so Idu is the last stop. And then she's looking forward to moving on to something else. So this is Delilah heading into town, and it'll be the first time that she and Jasper meet. So Delilah tapped her fingers on the steering wheel of the hot pink decked out dually truck. She'd enjoyed the drive from east to Idu more than she expected. It was nice to have control of the radio and not have to bend to her mother's preferences when it came to where to stop for a meal or even which gas station she thought would have the nicest bathroom. Freedom felt just fine to her. Stella hadn't always been so overbearing. You know what? I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm old now. But since things had gotten a little rocky with the man Delilah had been sure would assume the role of stepfather number 5, Stella had been more clingy than usual. Even insisted on going on the road together, which meant the 2 of them had to share space inside the tiny retro camper the tourism board had provided. It would be nice to have the place to herself for the next 30 days, even if she did have to spend it in another small Texas town vying for the title. Maybe if the cosmetics line did well, it would keep Stella, that's her mom, busy enough that Delilah could put some effort into something with a little more meaning behind it. And she'd always had a soft spot in her heart for the little girls who came to watch the pageants. They had stars in their eyes and hopes of winning a title of their own. What most of them didn't have was access to the kind of training and preparation that Monique had provided for her. But first, 30 days and I do. She glanced to the roadside sign welcoming her to town as she passed. It looked new based on the fresh piles of dirt sitting next to the posts that stuck out of the ground. Mr. Plum hadn't provided much background information on the town. He wanted her to evaluate each place based on her own personal experience, not go in with a bunch of preconceived ideas. As she navigated around the town square looking for a place to park the truck and trailer she towed behind, she took her first real look at downtown Idu. Seemed pleasant enough. The square took up about half a city block. Tall shade trees blocked the afternoon sun, and people sat on benches placed around the perimeter. A white gazebo stood in the center of it all. Chairs had been set up in front, and a few people were working their way around the railing, fastening some sort of ribbon and flower clusters. Delilah pulled the truck in parallel to the sidewalk, taking up a handful of parking spots in front of City Hall. She'd used part of her per diem to stay in a hotel the night before so she could pull herself together and make a good first impression on the mayor and other representatives of the town. As she slid down from the running board of the truck, she adjusted her sash. Mr. Plum had made it clear she was representing the tourism board at all times and needed to wear her sash anytime she was out in public. She pushed the heavy truck door closed behind her and set her gaze on the building in front of her. She stepped onto the sidewalk and made her way to the stairs. As she did, someone came around the side of the building, a giant hose in his hand. Before she could get his attention, he shifted the direction of the sprayer. Icy cold droplets of water rained down on her, stopping her dead in her tracks. She opened her mouth to scream, but closed it immediately as the water splashed across her face. Oh, bleep. The onslaught of water ceased as the man in front of her dropped the hose to the ground. Cut the water! For F's sake, turn it off! The hose continued to whip around, spraying water like a sprinkler. Delilah stood frozen in place on a drenched section of sidewalk, not knowing whether she should seek shelter behind the truck or try to race up the steps before the water sprayed over her again. Too late. The hose had taken on a life of its own. Water shot out at every angle as the hose bounced along the grass. The man tried to step on it, but slipped and fell. He climbed on top of it, wrestling it into submission as the gush of water came closer to her feet. She couldn't move. The end of the hose lifted, shooting a spray of frigid water straight up her skirt. He launched himself at the spigot, finally pinning it to the ground. The hose clenched in his hand. He sprawled across the sidewalk and squinted up at her. Please tell me you're not Delilah Stone. She took a startled step back. From that angle, he might very well be able to see right up her skirt, her dripping wet skirt. What was pageant protocol in a situation like this? Years of training and etiquette classes had left her unprepared. So she did what she imagined the reigning Miss Love in Texas should do in a moment like that, stepped over the man lying at her feet, straightened her sash, and proceeded up the steps of City Hall. The door had barely closed behind her when he followed her in. I'm so sorry. Please let me get you a towel. Is there a powder room nearby? A drop of water ran down her cheek, and she resisted the urge to swipe it away, lest she smear her favorite volumizing mascara. Right this way. The man gestured to the right. I'm so sorry. I already said that, didn't I? I was trying to clean off the sidewalk for the kickoff event tonight. We've had a problem with pigeons pooping all over the square. Delilah didn't care about pigeons or poop or anything beyond finding a place to pull herself together in private. I understand. Bathroom's right here. His voice dropped as she put her palm on the door. Are you sure I can't get you a towel or a change of clothes or that's quite all right. I believe you've done enough. She pushed the door open and took refuge in the sanctity of the women's room. First things first, she checked under the stalls to make sure she was alone. It wouldn't do her any good to let someone get a bad first impression. Satisfied she was the only person in the small space, she gritted her teeth and faced the mirror. Her once loose waves stuck to her head in wet clumps. Black streaks ran down her cheeks and had dripped onto the white silk shell she'd slipped on under her blazer and her sash. Delilah let out a soft groan. A few drops of diluted mascara had splashed onto her white satin sash. How the heck was she supposed to get that out? She reached into her purse for a stain wipe, one of the many items she carried in her small emergency bag. As she dabbed at the black dots, the door to the bathroom opened and a woman walked in, a nervous smile pasted on her face. Hi, I'm Mayor Lacey Cherish. I heard you had some trouble outside of City Hall. Delilah turned toward the mayor. Just a little run-in with your maintenance man. Nothing a stain wipe and a dryer won't fix. I'm so sorry. Lacey held a hand towel out to her. Thanks. Delilah pressed it onto her hair, trying to sop up the water that continued to drip onto the tile floor. Accidents happen. Can I get you anything? Oh, I'll be fine. Contrary to popular belief, pageant queens don't melt when they get doused with water. She tried to make light of the awkward situation. It wouldn't do any good for her to get off on the wrong foot with the mayor. Would you like to reschedule our meeting? We can move it back a little bit and give you a chance to settle in and get cleaned up. The thought of getting the trailer situated and having a chance to compose herself tempted her to agree. But it was already after 4 and she had to be ready for the kickoff event in just a few hours. Why don't we go ahead and get the details out of the way? I'm going to need a little extra time to get ready for tonight, so I'd rather touch base now so I have the rest of the afternoon to get settled if that's okay. Of course, I'll give you a few minutes. Just head down the hall when you're ready. My office is at the end. You can't miss it. Thank you. Delilah met Lacey's gaze in the reflection of the mirror. I'm going to run to the camper and grab a dry set of clothes. I'll be there in 5. Jasper ran his palms over his denim-clad thighs. Delilah Stone had been in town for less than 5 minutes, and he'd already screwed up. How the hell would he explain to his dad that he managed to ruin IDU's run for the title before the judge even made it up the steps of City Hall? What in the world happened? Lacey entered her office, her cheeks flushed. He jumped to his feet. I don't know. I was cleaning the pigeon crap off the sidewalk, and all of a sudden, there she was. You didn't hear her? See her heading your way? Jasper shook his head. I came around the corner, and before I knew what was happening, she was soaked through. Don't worry, you'll fix this. Lacey crossed her arms over her chest, her mouth set in a determined line. Me? His stomach dipped. How do you expect me to do that? I need a hospitality host, and you owe me. Wait a sec. I said I was sorry and I meant it, but I don't think... The office door creaked open. Delilah Stone entered. She'd changed into dry clothes, but her hair still hung in damp curls, framing her heart-shaped face. He'd expected the beauty queen to be, well, beautiful. But beautiful was too dull a word to do justice to the gorgeous woman who'd just entered the mayor's office. Lacey rounded the desk and moved toward the door. Miss Stone, welcome. Jasper rose to his full height and drew in a breath. Then he forced what he hoped looked like a reassuring grin and turned it on Miss Love in Texas herself. She might have been drenched from head to toe a few minutes ago, but she handled herself with the composure of a queen. Her spine ramrod straight, her face scrubbed free of any trace of makeup. She entered the office like she owned the place. We're thrilled to be hosting you as part of the most romantic small town in Texas competition. Lacey glanced toward him and he braced himself for the inevitable introduction. I'd like you to meet Jasper Taylor, our hospitality host. He'll be your main point of contact while you're here in town. Jasper shot a look to Lacey, who lifted one shoulder in a slight shrug. Great. He didn't want to undermine the mayor, even if she'd made an incorrect assumption that he'd changed his mind about taking on the role. He'd let it go for now, but once Miss Stone left the office, he'd have to set Lacey straight. It's nice to meet you, Miss Stone. I'm sorry about getting you all wet. Although I've got to say, you look just as pretty soaked right through as you did when you won your title. He had to give major props to the beauty queen. She didn't flinch as she slid her hand against his. Delilah glanced over to Lacey. What the heck was wrong with him? Based on how he was handling his interaction with Delilah, she'd probably never believe he actually held a degree in business and had aced his professional communications courses. For some reason, his tongue seemed to get all hogtied when facing the woman with the smoky green eyes who held the fate of I do in her soft, delicate hands. She slipped her fingers out of his grip and followed Lacey toward the desk. It's my pleasure, Mr. Taylor. Oh, you can call me Jasper. It's my pleasure then, Jasper. The tight smile she gave him held more than a hint of frustration, making him think she'd rather slap him than have to rely on him for anything during her time in I do. She probably thought Lacey was crazy for putting her trust in him. At least they were on the same page with regard to that. Jasper told me he was trying to get the square ready for our kickoff celebration tonight. It seems you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. We hope you won't hold that against us. Of course not. Delilah's perfect pink lips split into a smile she directed at Lacey. Fantastic. Jasper, could you run through the schedule for tonight to make sure Miss Stone knows what to expect? Lacey clasped her hands in front of her and settled against the back of her chair. Sure. He pulled a small spiral notebook out of his back pocket. When he'd offered to help, he and Lacey had come up with a timeline for the kickoff celebration. We plan on starting with the high school band. They've got a new number they've been working on for the homecoming game. Then we'll have Mayor Cherish say a few words to welcome you to town. Do you have something prepared that you'd like to say to the townspeople? I'd love to thank them for their hospitality. Delilah crossed her left leg over her right, putting her slim ankle and hot pink high heel directly in his line of vision. His gaze snaked up her leg from her heel to a shapely calf. He tilted his head to the side, trying to shake off the uncomfortable warmth that suddenly flushed across his chest. Jasper? Lacey prompted. Right. He dragged his attention away from Delilah's leg and skimmed his chicken scratch notes. Then we have time for a meet and greet, just a chance for the townspeople to get to know you and for you to know them. We'll have cupcakes and cookies and maybe a little more music. Whole thing should only last about an hour. We figured you'd be tired after just getting to town, so we didn't want to wear you out on your first night. That sounds just fine. Delilah graced him with a superficial smile. Where would you like me to set up camp? I was told there'd be a place for me to hook up my trailer to water and electricity. Lacey had put him in charge of that. Problem was, they didn't have any public campgrounds in the general vicinity, not unless they wanted to put her up out at the state park 45 minutes away. I'm going to stop there because I was going to try to get to the end of this next chapter, but I think I'm watching my time and I've already gone over. So I'm going to bring you guys back.
So good. It's always great hearing from you, Dylann. I love your books so much.
Oh, Dawn, I pay you to say that when we get off the show here. Yeah, I do.
I'd be a lot richer if you paid me to say that.
That was super fun.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
That was really fun.
You have a lot. Yeah. All right. So we do have a couple questions, and here's your last chance. If you have any questions for our authors, pop them up there now. If you could be mentored by a famous author, who would it be?
Ooh. Do you have an answer for that one, Elle?
I think it would be Kristen Ashley. I think it would be her. I think it would be her. I love, I mean, she is so good at writing those steamy scenes, and she is so good at conveying the emotion through those scenes that I think I'd want to be mentored by her. I'm trying to get her on my podcast.
Ooh,
I know.
That would be exciting.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be fun.
I know. I sent the most pathetic email the other day. It was like, I do this podcast and I would love for you to come on. But we'll get there. Someday she'll come on.
Tell people about your podcast.
Yeah, it's called Steam Scenes, and We drop lots of F-bombs and get really graphic because I invite romance authors to come and talk to me about writing steam. And then I read bits they pick a scene from one of their books and I read bits about it and we talk through it, what they did and how they got there and their process for writing and all of that. Dylann was on a couple of weeks ago. I think that your episode aired.
Yeah.
So it's super fun. I absolutely love doing it.
Nice. Awesome.
Well, and it's similar to this, it's fun for readers to get kind of like a little bite-size taste of, kind of what your writing sounds like. And that way they can, see if they're intrigued, if something pulls them in. And we've had so many readers that, have picked up a book from an author that they wouldn't have otherwise heard about.
Yeah.
Right.
Across, just because, they had a chance to hear them read from their work and get a little sneak peek. So
yeah, and even for me, I'm finding so many great authors and reading so many great books. I'm always like one-clicking the books after after I do the interviews. I'm always like, oh yeah, I got to read that, and I got to read that, and I got to read that.
Yeah. Yep,
so
I know.
Your TBR pile is growing.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
Yes,
it grows. It's such a faster rate than I'm able to get things. To remove items from my TBR pile. I wish that. I don't wish the inverse were true because I would hate to actually ever run out of things to read. I don't think that's possible. But yeah, it just seems to grow at a really disproportionate rate.
Yeah, I can't read fast enough for sure.
No.
Yeah.
I've even started to listen to audiobooks. Like my son had a 3-hour baseball game and watching 12-year-olds pitch to each other for 3 hours. So I have one earbud in and I'm listening.
Your podcast is called Steamy Scenes?
It's called Steam Scenes.
Steam Scenes.
Yeah. Okay. And if you go to Elle Greco Rocks, ellegreco.rocks is my website. And you scroll down, there's like a little, it says, listen to the podcast or something like that. You click there and it links out to all the different podcast carriers. So like Spotify, Apple, etc.
Okay. We had somebody asked, so I wanted to pop that up there, the name up there. All right. So
feel free to come back and put a link in the comments on the broadcast too later so people can find it.
Okay.
Yeah. And how do you name your characters, or do they name themselves? And Dylann, why the pink truck? Why a pink truck?
Ooh.
Oh. Well, the pink truck is because that was what the tourism board provided. They provided her with a hot pink pickup truck and a retro trailer that she was supposed to stay in all 3 of these different towns. So she basically, just moved from town to town to judge the contest. And why not pink? Have you ever seen a hot pink dually? Because I haven't, but if I did, you better bet I'd be taking a picture of that. That would be fun.
I know, right? I wonder if I could get my husband to drive it.
Maybe.
He loves dualies, but he doesn't like driving girly things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm tempted now.
Maybe.
If I ever become rich and famous, guys, I'm gonna try to buy a hot pink dually. And then if I can get my husband in it, I'll take a picture and I'll post it on for sure, 100%.
Dawn has been promising to have her husband come on our show and read a scene for how long have we been doing this podcast? 2.5 years now?
Several years. Yeah, 2.5. Hey, but he did. I mean, he didn't read a scene.
That did not.
He came on. Yeah, he did.
That did not count.
Fabio is my husband. You didn't know that?
That did not count. Nope. Sorry. I think everybody's with me. That did not count.
God damn it.
All right.
I mean, dang it.
Question: how do you name your characters?
Yes, or do they name themselves?
Oh, I do the I should admit it, I do the baby names.
Yeah.
Like famous baby names from the whatever year, that my characters are born, and I'll look through that. And I'll look through like other, Irish names, Scottish names, like, other names that aren't, American, just to try and make them a little bit sexier. But for the series, I actually very specifically named the women, the sisters, Nikki and Jet and Presley, because they were all named after musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Nikki Sixx,
Mm-hmm.
Elvis Presley, and Joan Jett.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where those names came from. But usually, that was like sort of as clever as I've ever gotten with names.
Well, and it's funny because sometimes I feel like they do come, named, and,
Mhm.
and other times
Yeah.
it can be. I mean, it can take me a while to figure out a name. Some of them come just like that, or like I think nameberry.com is one of my favorite websites that I go to, and then I also have some books that I've picked up at garage sales. Like 35,000 baby names, and because sometimes I want to know like what's the meaning behind the name. I'm sure a lot of the readers don't necessarily pick up on that, but like as an author, it's just one of those little fun things that like I do for me to make it more fun. Like actually her name means like elfin queen in Gaelic or something like that, and and I don't know, but it's just kind of fun.
Yeah,
I think it depends.
Yeah, sometimes I know I've changed characters' names mid-book.
Yeah,
that's always hard because when your editor's like, "Who the hell is this?" and you're like, "Oh, damn it, sorry,
I missed it." Yeah. No, I had one, and it was just his name was irking me, and then I finally said that it's not his name, and I changed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's funny. I've done that too. Or I'll, in my head, it makes sense because they're siblings. So, maybe they're like Sadie and Sarah or something. And then, like a beta reader's reading it and they're like, oh my gosh, like I can't keep them straight. You have, too many S names. I'm like, but there's a reason, like, it doesn't matter. You got to change one because I can't keep them apart. So,
yeah. And I've made that mistake too, where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But at that point, it's too late.
I like a name so much that I try to plug it into multiple books, and then I find myself, with like 3 books where like I keep trying to name the same, like the secondary. I don't do it for the main characters, but it's like, wow, I didn't realize I had a secondary character with that same name and 2 more books.
So my question is it a average name like John, or is it like a unique name like Brianna, or like something like that? Is it like a John or Sarah situation, or is it?
I don't know. I don't do. I guess I don't. I try to make my names like not super duper common, just because I don't, like you were saying, Presley. It's like I have a Presley in one of my books, and some of the names, and he's named after Elvis Presley too, because all of them are named after country stars, and that was like one of the big, family arguments. Like Elvis Presley was a country star, that's where he started out, and they're like, no, he wasn't. But now I totally lost my train of thought. Dawn, there goes my menopause brain right there. What was I saying?
I had 2 glasses of wine. I can't tell you.
I'm drinking water.
No,
normal names like John versus
normal names. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Yes. Normal names. So, I mean, I try to keep them not super duper common, like, Amy and Joe, but I mean, I don't know. It all just depends.
I love outrageous names because where else can you use them?
Right.
Yeah.
Like where else can you use them?
I had and this is real life, but I mean, this is the kind of stuff that authors would totally do. But growing up, I grew up in the country in Montana, and I knew these little cowboy kids. They were like little, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old when I was younger. Named like Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. Like their names were states, like cowboy states, and I thought that was cute. Like super cute.
I remember what I was going to say, because see, it always comes back to me. I was just going to say that it's so funny because even like first and last names, I have found like some of my characters, I've read their names in other books. And I mean, it was just totally by chance, but I think who is it? I think Megan Ryder and I might have a character that's exactly the same name, and I might have one with Jenny Martz too.
That's funny.
I think I'll have to go back and look now, but I mean, it's, you know, and then you think like, oh my gosh, I hope they don't think that I was, you know, trying to
Steal, yeah.
your name, because it's just, I don't know. I feel like there's like this universal hive mind. It happens with plots sometimes, you know, it's like come up with this great idea and then you realize somebody else just wrote that, or you know, you're about to release it and then somebody else's comes out and it's almost the exact same thing. And I don't know, I think this kind of universal, people get on the same wavelength kind of thing. But
yeah.
And I see we're out of time because it goes really, really, really fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does go fast.
It does.
Whew.
Yeah.
Cool. So is there like a final question or should we wrap this up?
Wrap it up. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Elle, you have a giveaway running and I have a giveaway running over on the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page. So we'll keep that open through Sunday night and make sure people have a chance to get over there and enter. And you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, my website is ellegreco.rocks, and I'm on the internet, Grecolina Writes on Instagram and also TikTok. It's probably where I'm most active, and then I do have my page here on Facebook as well. So, yeah,
excellent. And I think anyone who has watched our show before knows where to find me. Since we constantly tell them where to find us. So
yeah.
But yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere. Although I do have a big giveaway going right now. So if you want to win, I'm giving away a signed copy of Crazy About a Cowboy, but I'm also giving away my big release giveaway. You can find a link on my Facebook page. And I'm giving away a signed copy of the book. And also we are doing for our next Romance Happy Hour book box, we're doing a cowboy theme. And so I'm giving away from that. And I just confirmed the authors that are going to be in that box, hearing it here first. We've got a book from Lori Wilde, who is one of my all-time favorites. And we've also got a book from Carly Bloom. So,
yay.
So I'm going to be very excited to start promoting that and let you guys know what's coming up. So those orders for those will be open through June 28th. But if you go find that link on my page, you can enter to win. So
awesome.
All right. Well, I hope you all have a great holiday weekend. Stay safe. Dawn, your internet is better in the RV than it is in your house. I'm very impressed. I think maybe you need to camp every time we have an episode.
You have no idea. Like the whole, like, sorry, there are bugs though, little bugs, but the internet, just like the whole power went out on the base today. So it was like, oh my God, it's a good thing we're camping, because I would have been like, Dylan, sorry. No internet, no nothing.
We just keep going. No matter what happens, we just keep going.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, Teresa, it did go really fast tonight. I think it did. And yeah, you and Linda and everybody else who's joining us, have a great night and a great weekend. And we will see you in a couple weeks for our next episode in June. I can't believe it's June already.
I know.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being with us, Elle. It's been a lot of fun. Go check out her podcast because it was a blast to be on there. And it was a lot of fun talking about just the steamy bits.
Just the naughty bits.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Did she close us out? Let me see. Dylan, are you there?